हे गाइस, कैसे हो आप सभी? उम्मीद करता हूँ सभी लोग मस्त रहोगे, मजे में रहोगे। तो टुडे वी हैड अ पॉडकास्ट विद जॉनी बर्गर. I met him at React India. He is one of the speakers at React India this year, which was in Goa. And particularly इनसे पॉडकास्ट क्यों करना था? क्योंकि इनका टॉपिक था जहाँ पे ही क्रिएटेड एन एंटायर वीडियो एडिटर, और यू कैन से ही एडिटेड एन एंटायर वीडियो इन रिएक्ट. मतलब प्रोग्रामेटिकली कैसे आप चीज़ों को कर सकते हो. ऑलरेडी जहाँ पे देर आर टूल्स जो कि वीडियो एडिट करके देते हैं, बट हाउ कैन यू प्रोग्रामेटिकली एडिट दोज थिंग्स. वो चीज़ ने, या वो तुम बोल सकते हो कि वो जो टॉपिक था उसने मेरा ऐसा दिमाग पे कब्जा कर दिया था कि नहीं भाई ये क्या है. एंड तभी से मैंने सोच के रखा था कि नहीं, इनसे तो एक बार मैं बात करूंगा ही. रिएक्ट इंडिया में भी मैंने बहुत सारी बात की उनके साथ, एंड आज के पॉडकास्ट में भी हमने एक्चुअली बहुत सारी बात की, जहाँ पे he talked a lot about कि how he made that particular product and क्या इंस्पिरेशन था उसके पीछे, कैसे चीज़ें होती है, क्या आगे कर सकते हैं, क्या क्या चैलेंजेस थे. तो यार बहुत सारी चीज़ों पे बात की है. एंड फॉर ऑल द टेक गीक्स या अर्ली स्टेज डेवलपर्स या ऑल द डेवलपर्स, this may be a great podcast for you, and I want you all to see the entire one. If you have any questions, put up in the chat comments, and we'll surely address it. And yeah, if you like it, make sure you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'll be putting up Remotion's website link, Johnny's LinkedIn profile, and all the social media links in the description. Make sure to follow him over all those platforms and trouble him if you need. He'll be open to answer all your questions. Johnny, how are you?
Hey, I'm super good and happy to be on the podcast.
How is everything going at Remotion right now?
Going very well, very exciting times. We have just released a new Remotion web codecs package yesterday. And with that, for the first time, you can convert videos in the browser with hardware acceleration. So I'm super pumped about that. But also, other than that, many other products, and it seems like people are slowly picking up Remotion for all kind of products.
Yeah, that's great. So to all the viewers, I met Johnny at the React India conference, and uh, for me it was something. The topic had encouraged me, and it was very intriguing to me a lot, because being a content creator, I had like, yeah, we can edit videos on like Premiere Pro and Adobe After Effects and all those stuff, but never have thought about a place where, or a product where we can actually edit videos while coding it. Like actually, it was, I guess, the second event of, sorry, the first talk at the day two, and Johnny was like super crowded with people after the talk, and there were a lot of people talking to him about what Remotion is, and there I met him. And yeah, first of all, tell us a bit about yourself and your journey before you started Remotion.
Yeah, for sure. My name is Jonny Burger. I'm from Zurich, Switzerland. I'm 29 years old, and my coding journey started around 16, where I was trying to like build a mini Spotify, and that was all very bad, but it became better over time. I think my first hit was an app for students at the University of Zurich, where like they could chat about courses, and that's how I learned to build products and find out what people want. And then since 3.5 years or so, I am working on Remotion, because I thought to myself, it's probably easier to create videos in code for me than to use any of these tools. And yeah, I launched that, and since more than 2 years. I work full time only on Remotion.
Okay. So, like, what has actually inspired you to get into like this video creation part, and specifically developing it? Because as we see right now, there are a lot of tools which are specifically for video editing. So, what has inspired you to get into this particular area?
So I was making videos since my teenage years. I was like interested in animations. What even sparked my interest more was when I was building React Native apps. With Reanimated, you could do very fun interactions and animations. And so, I mean, this is a lot of fun, right? To look at these animations. And so I was always into this. And when it came to putting out videos to promote my own apps and my own projects, I would traditionally use regular tools like After Effects. Uh, but I was a much better developer at the time. And so to me, it was an obvious idea that we should be able to create videos with HTML, CSS, React, SVG, because there you can just reuse components. You can use version control to undo a mistake. You can align things in a row, create easier layouts. Okay, maybe it's not that easy, but since I was a much better developer, to me it was. And so that's got me experimenting, and that was my inspiration.
Okay. So, to what some developers are not familiar, or for those who are not familiar with Remotion, can you just tell what Remotion exactly is and what is the problem that it is aiming to solve right now?
So Remotion is a React library. It takes your React components and you can turn them into videos. And there are some hooks and components that allow you to specify how some things should animate over time. So what it allows you to do is to create videos programmatically. You write code using a real programming language. You can fetch data. You can use if-else statements to very dynamically decide what should appear in your video and to very flexibly define animations. And that is in contrast to other ways to create videos programmatically. Yeah, whereas like sometimes you just get to pass like a JSON payload or have to create the video visually. At Remotion, it's all about using code to create videos.
Okay.
And I guess we've also ventured into a few other things as well. Now it's more about solving problems that developers have with video. Like I mentioned at the beginning, now it's also about video conversion, creating captions. It's a tool belt for people who not only want to create videos programmatically, but who want to build applications that leverage video.
Okay. So, a basic question, and I think you may have heard about it a lot. What was the idea behind Remotion? Like, was there a specific challenge or a gap in the market due to which the idea of Remotion came up?
I did not really look at the market and look at if there is a position for myself in it. And I actually kind of underestimated the popularity that this would have. Like before I launched it, only one day before I even bought a domain, because I thought this would just be another hobby project. the idea was really just to use React to create videos. And everything that came after it was pretty much just a reaction to what people wanted to do with Remotion. Now, captioning, incorporating AI footage are very hot topics. And no, that was not part of the initial idea. It's just where we ended up.
Okay. So now, if we see, as you told that it was like you wanted to do something with React. So as we can say that Remotion brings together React and video creation in one thing. And could you like
Mhm.
let's get into some technical aspect of this particular product. Like, could you explain some of the technical approach behind this particular integration?
Yes. So one philosophy is that we use the web as our canvas. So every video editor needs to have like some surface where you can draw things on, where you can render text, images, videos, effects. And Remotion's approach for this is to just use Google Chrome as our drawing layer. Because with HTML and CSS, you have so many graphic capabilities. You have primitives for video, image, SVG, etc. And that was for sure that we want to reuse this and not create a new graphics layer. And so that's why it also made perfectly sense to use React to render these graphics. And what Remotion does is it provides you with a hook called use current frame. This hook gives you the current time of the video, and all that you have to do, but maybe that makes it sound easier than it really is to render an image for that time. So if you have a frame rate of 30 and use current frames as 30, then you are at the 1 second mark. And now it is your task to return a React markup that should be rendered at the 1. How we then actually turn that into a video is we spawn a headless Chrome browser, screenshot this, and we concatenate all the screenshots using FFmpeg. At this point, we also have an audio mixing pipeline that comes into play that mixes all of the audio layers that you added to your video.
Okay. I will just tell you one of my favorite features of Remotion. Uh, I remember in the React conference, you told about the most important thing for any content creator or editor is to add captions. It's like one of the most boring tasks for any editor because they have to get to the frame and get the correct captions. So when you explained about using the OpenAI and like getting the captions, it is one of the best features for me personally, and that was the one thing that I personally look forward for a lot, because for me also when I edit some videos and when I have to put some captions, it becomes a bit boring for me, like why to put so much of captions. So for me Remotion has done that work a lot easier, so thank you for that. So the next thing is, what were some of the challenges you faced while building something like Remotion?
First of all, yeah, I totally agree that captions are absolutely essential. If you just look at all the people in the car or in the bus, like watching TikToks on mute, and not hearing anything, um, that's why captions nowadays are so essential. And also, if you scroll on Twitter, the videos are muted by default. So
Hmm.
uh, if somebody does not want to tap the unmute button, they they will not watch the video if you just speak. Okay, so I just wanted to say that because that also gave me some time to think about what were the challenges. And now I think I know what to say.
Okay.
So one big challenge, and it still is of course performance. I'm still not 100% happy with the rendering speeds that we get. I think this screenshotting via headless browser could be made a lot more efficient than it is at the moment. And I want to find uh, creative ways to improve on that in the future, maybe by um, building a zombie fork of Chrome, or thinking about moving to client side rendering. But that is also hard because you cannot capture a DOM node using JavaScript. There's simply no API for that at the moment. So that's why we need to invoke a server, which then spawns a headless browser. And also one of the workarounds, I would almost say, for that is that we have a distributed renderer called Remotion Lambda. And what it does is it splits up the video rendering into many chunks. It's kind of like multi-threading, a distributed renderer where like multiple computers render individual parts of the video, which is kind of cool if you think about it.
Hmm.
But essentially, we just do that because I feel like it's not yet fast enough on its own. And part of that is free motion. Part of that is just that creating videos, encoding, compressing videos. It's a computationally expensive task. So it's not just us that have this problem. But speaking about that, I think one of the biggest technical challenges that we ever faced was with creating the audio of the video in a distributed fashion.
Okay.
So we would have like this 100 audio chunks because each lambda function would render a piece of the video and of the audio, and we would have to turn this audio into the advanced audio codec format AAC uh, in order to put it into an MP4, because an MP4 container usually has AAC video.
Okay.
And doing that was very hard. We had two options. Either we first generate the audio losslessly, and only at the end we re-encode the whole lossless audio into AAC. But then encoding this audio at the end would sometimes take longer than rendering than everything that came before in absolute terms. So encoding this AAC from lossless audio would take minutes sometimes if you had a really long video. And that became the whole bottleneck. The other option was to generate AAC chunks directly in each Lambda function and then just concatenate the AAC chunks at the end without having to encode them all at the end. But then we had like small audio artifacts that would be audible at the seams where you would concatenate the audio.
Okay.
And that kept me up for a long, long time uh, until, with the help of some industry experts, we actually found like a novel solution that seamlessly allows to concatenate these AAC chunks. And getting this to work was like an actual science and felt so good. And this is probably the proudest technical challenge that I've overcome. I hope
Yeah.
some people have been able to follow.
Yeah. So you told about you are still not happy with the rendering performance of Remotion right now. As a developer, this is a question that I want to ask. is that because if we see about uh, creating projects which are like for a base level developer, or you can say a fresher developer, rendering images itself is a complex thing when it comes to like rendering 100 images in a single site for a fresher, or sometimes for an experienced guy as well. So here in Remotion, you are actually rendering videos, which are much more heavier in size than the images. So how do Remotion handle the performance, like rendering performance, and is it only for like simple video editing, or can we do some complex video editing in Remotion as well?
To make it as fast as possible, we do a lot of optimizations and measurements. I guess by default, every operation is fast, and unless you have a problem that makes it slow. So we can talk about some of the problems that do make it slow at the moment. Well, I wouldn't say slow. I feel like with the distributed rendering, we are
Yeah.
still very competitive, or like even faster than other ways to create a video. But I'm aware of some bottlenecks. Let's say like that. When we create a screenshot, that screenshot from Google Chrome is being base64 encoded and returned as a JPEG to to Remotion before it gets encoded. And I am pretty convinced that we lose a lot of time there. And well, one thing that we do to make it fast, and I think that we got right, was to make the render multi-threaded. So if you have 8 cores, you can open up to 8 Chrome tabs, which render different sections of the video. So this for some people is also tricky because they need to be aware that the render works this way, and they really need to write their animations in a deterministic way, because otherwise they have like multi-threading race conditions which lead to flickers in the video.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I think there we have some things that make it faster, but also some aspects which can still be improved upon.
Okay.
I think even being able to avoid, I think base 64 is not even the slow part, but having to encode this screenshot as a JPEG, or in the worst case, even as a PNG if you want to have a transparent video, that's where we lose a lot of time. Because when you then take these pictures and encode them to a video, you anyway need to decompress them. So this JPEG encoding and decoding step is essentially completely useless. It's just the way that the Chrome DevTools protocol works, and so we don't have much other choice.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think those. This is the thing that I have the biggest gripe with.
Okay. So Remotion is open source, right?
No, Remotion is not open source.
Okay.
Remotion is source available. So I think to many people this comes as a surprise, because the code is on GitHub, right? You can see the
Yeah.
code. It is open. It is
Yeah,
not
because actually,
closed, stowed away.
yeah.
Yet I have to be careful, because open source does not just mean that the source code is visible. It also means, it also implies different things in terms of liberties and freedom and what you can do with the code. So just to be pedantic and overly correct, Even though Remotion is just like a GitHub project, it is not open source. It is source available.
Okay, because before coming onto the podcast, I was just looking forward for Remotion, and I saw the GitHub repository, and I thought like, no, it is open source, but no worries. So the next thing that I want to ask you is like, are there any cases where people have used Remotion unexpectedly? Like you haven't expected them to use Remotion like this.
Yes. So the most recent development is that people try to use AI to create Remotion markup,
Okay.
um, and with that videos, and that I never expected a few years ago that this would become a major way people will use Remotion. So yeah, this now makes me think whether we need to adapt to make this way of creating videos better, or that you just ask an AI to write a Remotion component. And I'm not yet sure how to improve upon this. We kind of like released some custom instructions that you can pass to the AI
Ah,
to make the output better.
okay.
But also maybe we just need to like slightly change the syntax or some rules about the framework um, to make it easier for this code to be generated.
Okay. So you talked about AI, and as we see in the recent times, there are a lot of websites which actually generate videos and like kind of edit video for you. Like there is I'm not sure if you know about it. There's a, um, you can say pin or like a package for Premiere Pro, which is called AutoCut. You just have to enable it, and after that, it will just edit the entire video for you. It is like if you select like a podcast. So for now, what we do is like we select the frame, we like synchronize it with the audio in the mic and the laptop, and then we edit it based on when the person says. But for there are extensions that do it without the need of humans. So with the current increasing trends of AI, how do you see Remotion? Where do you see like what do you think Remotion will do in the next let's say 5 6 years?
I think for this very workflow that you described, Remotion can change the way the workflow works. So we have tools that help with captioning. We have an API that can detect the silent parts of a video, and then we have a snippet where you can cut out the silent parts. So to automate the jump cutting. And if you're familiar with Descript, it's a web-based tool where you can upload a podcast and then essentially just cut out the sentences from a script, and the video will automatically adapt. Um, that that I think Remotion can also help people build similar products, hopefully even better products in the future.
Okay.
And yeah, if you have a podcast, Remotion can also help create audiograms. So these are little square videos where we have word for word animations, as well as maybe a waveform animation alongside. And with that, you can have like little 1 to 2 minute clips that you from your podcast that you may post to Instagram to create some short form content also out of your entire podcast. And some of the biggest, like one really big player, we have also already mentioned their products in this episode. So far, they are also jumping on this and building a web-based podcast editor with Remotion. So even them who I was inspired by, they now come and look at Remotion and see how it could be useful.
Okay. So, are there any upcoming features or enhancements that you are particularly excited about to bring it to the developer community?
Certainly. So a few things that we are working on next. We want to create a starter template for building an entire video editor. This is actually what you saw when we met at React India.
Yeah.
And I still need to refine that a bit. And then we'll release it, and hopefully it will jumpstart people's uh, like path to building their video products. Besides that, I see us as a company that helps developers solve all of the small problems that they face while they are building products that incorporate video. So we will continue to solve problems, small problems, every day. Hopefully, every day, solve a small problem, make a bit of progress, which accumulates towards um, building even more sophisticated and complicated products.
Okay.
And one of the, I guess, bigger visions, which I've revealed just yesterday, as of recording, is the Remotion Web Codecs package, which allows you to take an existing video and transform it in the browser. Right now, you can convert it to a different format, but in the future, also be able to compress it, crop it, trim it, etc. So just imagine you are, for example, a platform like Loom, which allows for recording videos, or a social media platform, even the big ones like LinkedIn or X, where you allow people to input a video that they would like to post. And there are multiple things that these companies have to look for in order to make this a nice experience. They need to compress the video so that also people who use their product on like a slow cellular connection can stream the video in lower quality. So maybe they even have multiple quality levels. And of course, it would also be nice to allow the user to have like some basic editing functionality, like trimming and cropping a video. And what these companies do usually is they invoke FFmpeg on a server that they control. And my bigger vision that now is kind of revealed, but we still have to iterate a lot on, is to bring this workflow to the browser, so that if you want to build such an application, you have to worry less about the servers and the media transcription on the server, so that you can move towards a serverless model, and of course also save costs, because if you do this conversion on the server, you pay for it. If in the browser, while the user supplies the video, they bring the video into the right format, you don't have to pay anything. So I think it's a huge thing in the video industry if we can move the needle just a little bit to bring some of these operations to the client. And this is what I'm very excited about. at the moment and working on pushing.
Okay. So these are like last two questions of mine. This is from a perspective of a student or early developer. So for the developers or entrepreneurs who are looking to build tools that like bridge tech and creativity, like for example, what does is React and video editing. So what is the advice you would like to give to them?
Try to experiment, build, follow even small ideas that others do not tell you that there is a niche in the market. Ignore the advice people say it is a small market. You will build something for a small audience. Uh, if you have a creative idea, build it. It will be fulfilling for yourself. Uh, I built Remotion because I wanted to create videos with code, and at the beginning it was very cumbersome and bad, and nobody built like good stuff with it. It was just far behind tools that you would actually want to use. So ignore all of that and build it. If you want, you will be fulfilled, and communicate this. So I always kept the people on the internet up to date with the latest progress and examples of what is possible now with the latest developments.
Hmm.
And it doesn't mean that I had like a large following. I had less than 1,000 people following me on Twitter. But if it's good and you keep them up to date, you can also grow an audience, and that is the initial spin that your hamster wheel needs so that you can keep on running. But as soon as you have uh, one or two other people who finds this useful as well, you might get motivated enough to push it further.
Okay.
So yes, to summarize this advice, don't worry and just go ahead.
Okay. So the last question, like, how can the listeners who are listening to this podcast learn more about Remotion and get involved if they want to contribute in Remotion?
Okay, so they can go to remotion.dev to learn all about the framework. And I would encourage you to play around with it by creating your first video. That is easy. You just type in npm init video into the terminal, and Remotion will set up a project for you to play around with. And if you build something awesome, then yeah, let other people know. Let us know. We love to see even the simplest animations that people are building with Remotion, and hopefully from there you will be successful. And if you want to contribute to the Remotion framework, then I would suggest that you first find a problem in video that you would like to have solved, and this can really be a, a really small problem, like measuring the size of one word, or extracting the audio part of the video as a waveform. Uh, Small functions that could be packaged up, documented, and added to Remotion so that they can be composed together. And then you can go to remotion.dev/contributing and see like some formal instructions of how you can actually get your idea into Remotion itself. We also have on our GitHub issue tracker a few ideas of ours that we have not yet gotten to implement. So if you look for inspiration, you may also go there.
Okay. So this was a great podcast. It was I'm like very grateful to have you on this podcast, and luckily I got to talk to you on the React India Day, and it was like I'll tell you one small story to all the viewers that when I wanted to talk with the Johnny, he was like surrounded with like tens and fifteens of people, and I was like, no, I want to talk with him in person. I wanted to shoot a small clip, and uh, when we had a chance to talk, he had just came up after swimming. So he was in his swimming costume, and we just made that video. So yeah, thank you so much, Johnny, for hopping up on the podcast. Was this your first one?
I've been to a few podcasts, so it's not my first one, but um, well, the first one with you, and maybe we'll do another one in the future. And
Sure.
I have very fond memories of just 1 month ago coming out of the pool and you asking me to come on to the podcast, especially because then it was like 30 degrees, and right now it's like actually snowing outside. I'm freezing
Damn.
my ass off, and I want to come back to India ASAP.
Yeah, yeah. India is a very hot place for at this time of the year, especially Goa. And yeah, how was your experience for this podcast?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Yeah, thanks for asking like some open-ended questions and just letting me blab away whatever is on my mind. Hope somebody will find this interesting. And if not, then I still enjoyed to talk with you.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Johnny, and hope to see you in the next one. Yeah.
See you in the next one. Bye.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
everyone.